gonna be exciting.
So I'm starting to record. Oh wait, I need to share my screen.
Well, yeah, you can record first, just so you make sure.
And we're on, right? Are we?
Let's see. Yep.
And we're on. And hello everyone. My name is Daniel Peixe. I'm gonna kind of do something unscripted. No, we normally have lessons, classes, or we're teaching about a subject or something or a trick. But this time it's gonna be freestyle, as the
I
title
like that.
says.
We should call this titled Daniel Unscripted or Peixe
Oh
Unscripted.
yeah, patient unscripted. So I started to do this animation a couple of weeks ago, and because of life, I'm not able to progress very far on this. So I decided to use this opportunity to progress on the animation a little bit more and just to stream it live, and that's what's gonna be. Let me tell you a little bit what I want to get in here. This is gonna. Okay, so let me show you. I guess. Okay, I have this lizard already animated, and it's a loop, and he's kind of ready to fight, right? And we have the the other fighter. It's
Oh
a
my god, is that
scary.
Bruce Lee? Is he
It's
trying
a
to be Bruce Lee dragon?
yeah, maybe he's a
With his
fan of
hat.
Bruce Lee. Yeah, and the
Should
sloth
have
is
given him a yellow jumpsuit.
a fan of Daniel San from the Karate Kid movies. Daniel Larusso. So this is Sloth Larusso. Uh, and anyway, they're gonna fight, and that's the idea. And I decided to do this because I saw the prompt of speed, right, in the weekly. So obviously I didn't finish on that week. So my idea is to hopefully this Saturday I can do this simple animation in 1 hour. I hope. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And I want to do the beginning of the punch. So the lizard is gonna start to wait. Just gonna let's hide this guy. It's gonna start. It's gonna go for a punch like that. I'm gonna try to animate this, and I'm gonna try to animate. He gets hit, right? Before he punches, he gets hit by some invisible thing because the sloth doesn't move at all. I'm gonna make him. He's always still. So that's the idea, and he's so fast that you don't see how he moves. That's the thing that I want to do. Okay, so I just realized that the proportions are wrong. Gonna, I want to make sure. Okay. Any questions about all of that stuff so far? I think it's all.
I love the sloth. The sloth is awesome.
Thank you. And he will win. He will win the fight. So I use this opportunity as well to show a little bit of my process here, which I'm always kind of changing, experimenting a little bit with Quill. So recently they added the button right here, this one, to add a keyframe on all the rig together. So I'm gonna definitely
all the parent children of the folders.
Yeah, I wanna really use it because I haven't had the opportunity to use it yet. But first I wanna kind of do these rough keyframes first, kind of like This is the
when you do this, you if you rotate the camera, it's kind of 2D still, right?
Yeah, this is not meant to be good 3D drawings
It's
at all.
more for timing.
This is more for timing and
Oh.
also kind of like the silhouette. What's the
Yeah.
silhouette that I want, and the keyframes that I'm gonna shoot for, right?
Yeah. So in this, like, you're already intending to show it from this angle, right? But
Yeah,
like,
I
yeah.
feel like the audience is gonna be on this point of view for sure.
Yeah.
And then later I'll change the point of view. Maybe. Well, we don't know about that yet. I'm still working on the idea. But that's kind of the. And these drawings, I think this is gonna help me a lot with planning what's gonna happen with the rig. And yes, I'm gonna animate with the full character rig, and I'm gonna show you how I set up the rigs as well. So if anybody's curious about that process as well. So the next drawing I want to do is in the air. I want to get a nice kind of pose in the air. Something like that, maybe. And the tail is gonna be over there. Okay, maybe the tail is over there somewhere. This is kind of similar to what I would do in a normal CG shot. I would normally just do like a little stick figure, kind of to figure out just the timing of things and like the basic silhouette. Let me get I think I want to get a nice silhouette here with the two arms like that. And then the next important keyframe that I want to do is going to be on the floor. And something like that. Like he's really messed up here. And this is going to be hopefully it's going to be pretty surprising for the audience, because it's going to be like, what happened? Who hit them? The sloth didn't move. So I want that kind of surprise factor. This is probably not the right proportions, but that's okay, because all I want to do is kind of roughly plan what the animation is going to be. And then I'll continue animating once I have the rig in that position, more or less. It'll be easier. But the timing, let's see the timing. Okay. It's gonna go quickly into that. And then slap. Maybe I'm gonna hang in the air here for a while. And then boom, it's gonna fall on the ground. Let's play back this. And we're playing at 24 frames per second. So this is kind of like the speed. Okay, maybe we want to see this a little bit longer. Maybe I'm gonna hold this a little bit longer and quickly speed up to that, and then boom, boom, something like that. And then I'll go into more detail later, but at least I have some sort of a goal. I hope. I think this could be the tail. Maybe the tail could be more. Something like that. I don't know. I like it that. We'll see with the rig. Okay, more or less. Yeah, I don't want to spend too much time with the rough because. So I have a duplicate of the rig, and this is. I have the first one here, which is the one that I use for the first part of the animation, the cycle. So I'm keeping that just in case I need to do something with this cycle again. I don't think I will need that. But then I
It's
decided,
you're swapping the character at some point, right?
yeah, I'm gonna swap this. I'm gonna use the first couple of the punch up to here maybe is gonna be IK legs, and I think I'm gonna swap it to FK legs when he falls down because it will be easier to animate. So let's see if I can just start putting some poses here. And hopefully doing this will keyframe all the controls on the rig. And if you saw the rig tutorial by Goro and the one that I did with the skeleton, you will see more or less the way the rig is organized. There is a main controller here, and there's the two foot are separate here because are going to be IK. Well, it's not really IK, but it allows me to do this, right? Allows me to pivot from the foot, and then when I grab the sheen, it pivots as well from the heel, right? So that allows me to kind of lock the foot on the ground. And the body is the main hip controller, and under the body I have the tail, and then the actual geometry here, and then the legs, the thighs, and then comes the chest, and then inside the chest we have the neck, the torso geometry, the arms, and then inside the neck we have the head and the actual geometries. So it's all very. I try to name everything pretty clear. Well, this one is not named, but I understand it's the chest because it's right here. And the way to animate this, if you saw the tutorials,
I just pasted the tutorials in the chat, guys, if you want to see what he's referring to.
Exactly. So the way to animate this is by clicking here and auto select the layers by group. So what that gives me is a freedom to pose the character this way. All right. And I really am able to pose everything without having to select any controls or any layers. I can just focus on my character, and it's just really fun. It's almost like playing with a stop motion figure, right? Sometimes it's hard to figure out whether you're gonna grab the control or not. I'm not sure why that happens sometimes, but anyway. So now it's just a matter of putting the pieces in the right place.
Interesting that you just leave all the attributes on, translate and stuff, so you just eyeball the positions, right? Without just working with rotation.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, the other way to do this is if I select the foot. The foot is the master here. Maybe I should do this actually. And then this one is the child. So I just it's easier if it's FK right now because it's off the floor.
Yeah.
But this system is better when it's on the floor because now I can just do this, and I can assure that's gonna be on the floor, that foot, which is really cool. The in-betweens work the way you expect it to work. Okay, so and sometimes I switch to the more precise manipulation, which is kind of cool. Allows me to really be a bit more. More or less. And this, I'm not gonna worry too much about this tail, because I can change that later when I bake it. So the idea is to combine the rig animation process with the baking, which is something that I discovered that is really, really useful to do. You lose the super smooth in between that give you the, when it's transform keys, you lose that, but in exchange you get much better control of the animation. You can really polish everything the way you want, and I
Add
think
motion blur and effects.
yeah. Okay, so now I want a new keyframe here. So I'm gonna have to go here to the main, and then here that makes a new keyframe on all the controls, and now I can just kind of build that just to fix that little thing here. And the timing, more or less, I'm following the time that I did on the rough, but I can always change it, But the good thing is I'm getting clean in-betweens right away, which is really, really nice. The clean in-betweens really helps later once you want to give the animation a bit more deformations and more cool stuff. You can do that once you bake it. But before you bake it, it's kind of nice to have clean in-betweens, especially on the main movers, the main controllers. I think maybe just gonna something like that. Okay. And then the next pose I want to do is the actual punch when he gets hit. Keyframe. And boop, 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 boop. I'm just gonna. And obviously, all of that stuff, I'm gonna improve it later once I bake. But I can start kind of deforming now, actually. Like here, I want a different geometry for the neck and for the head, so I think it's a good time to do it now. I want to make sure it feels like a big punch. He's getting too close. I may have to move in later. I may have to move him a little further later. Anyway.
What setting is allowing you to select every layer, like through transform key? Group, I see.
Auto select transform objects, and then based on groups. So because I rigged it and I named every group, and it's all organized in like a hierarchy, I'm able to, for example, grab the hips. I think they're here. Okay, there. it's important to know which geometry is what, but now I know this is the hips. So if I grab that, I grab the whole character. And if I grab the chest, I can move the chest. And it's just really, really a great thing that they added on Quill to be able to do this. It allows you to create more complex kind of rigs. I'm just gonna eyeball it a little bit.
Every time you're adding, whenever you want to add a keyframe to every single body part, you select that new keyframe to all layers. Is that what the new update was?
Yeah, when you have this on group, when you use your grab button, when you do it outside, you're gonna move the camera, right? But if you're inside of a geometry, it will grab that group, and here you can see the group name. You see that? So automatically changes the group name depending on what you grab.
And when you have auto key on the record on, any change you make automatically sets a keyframe. But what Daniel was showing is set keyframe in all children, which is a button that sets keyframes in every subfolder, right? So including layers. So basically, if you would have to go to the top folder, to the very top, the root, and then set keyframe.
You press this one, and this keeps things very organized. Allows you to organize your animation like you would in CGI with Maya or Blender or any of these programs. So allows you to keep everything very organized, and you know where your keyframes are. It doesn't matter what control you grab. The keyframes are always in the same spot, which is really, really convenient because you want to tweak a little bit that pose, but you want to make sure that you tweak it in the right frame, in the keyframe. So now what I want to do here, I want to change the geometry a little bit. So we're gonna go to layer. So what that's gonna do is when I press grab, automatically it's gonna change to the layer of the neck because I press grab on the neck. So now I'm in this layer, so I'm able to manipulate the geometry. And I have to create a new frame by frame keyframe here in order to get this to change, right? So now the neck is not going to change until I hit here, but that's okay for now. So this is kind of similar to what I talked about. If you go to virtual animation, I did a similar video talking about keyframe animation with the skeleton. So now I can even go a little bit and then even change that because I want him to open his mouth and kind of be a completely different drawing at this point, right? So that's the fun of it. You're not stuck with one drawing. You can always change it. Just gonna put his teeth here. And his eye is gonna probably change as well. I'm gonna make him And this is the boring part for you guys.
So once you've done all the keyframe animation I'm assuming you're going to go back to the tail and do like an S curve kind of.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take care of the tail later. Maybe I can do that once I baked everything.
Yeah.
Because that's the good thing about baking is allows you to oops, I have the layer thing selected. It's a little dangerous sometimes. Allows you to kind of be a bit more organic, because transform key animation, the problem is it's not super organic. You can only do translation, rotation, scale in a very rigid way.
You can't really do like squash or stretch.
Exactly. So I was wondering, there's got to be a way to combine the two, because transform key gives you this awesome organization that you can have, right? You can have everything very organized, but it keeps your animation very stiff, but if you bake it, you can kind of break the stiffness and make things a little bit more fun. So now he's being hit, so I wanna have some fun with it. And I don't even know when I'm gonna be able to finish this animation, guys. But I have this idea in my head, and I want to do it, and I will finish it someday.
This is the way.
But yeah, unfortunately, we're so busy at the studio, and I get so tired at the end of the day. It's gonna get the interior of the mouth in there. And this is what I was planning to do for you guys today. Is a little bit of a improvisation freestyle. But in the meantime, if anybody has questions, I really appreciate that. I haven't seen a lot of animations like rigged. Well, recently there was the tightrope animation that was pretty cool. A very detailed character, and
Mine have been all rigged. I just use stepped curves, so it looks like frame by frame animation.
Oh yeah,
yeah. The robot, for example, yesterday's is not even baked. It's just stepped curve animation. So it's stop motion.
Yeah, very stop motiony. Yeah, that's really cool.
And I think one thing that I run into all the time is the baking has just become so heavy.
Yeah, that's true.
If you have any amount of animation, if it's like, more than 10 seconds, or it just becomes, you just kill the file size.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it really depends on the heaviness of your initial geometry, right? For example, if you look at lifetime achievement, most of the animations of Albert are frame by frame. But since Albert is very simplified, you can actually do long animations. But if you have something lathed, obviously that's gonna become really, really heavy. So if you're planning to bake something, you have to always make sure to build your character with as least amount of strokes as possible, and then you should be fine in general.
Okay, I did a mistake. I forgot to do keyframe here. So now the face is always like that now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this. Wait. Just gonna delete this guy. And I think I have another copy here. So I'm gonna just recycle the head from here. So if I select all, I should be able to find the, there you go, that one, and paste, and there you go, and then I recover it. Oh, why is this guy here? Is this part of the neck? No. Oh.
It's an eye.
I know, but I don't know where it belongs to. That's a mystery now.
It's
If you
his
click
third
select
eye.
all and unlocked layers, it'll like send you. It'll show you where that layer
Yeah.
is. Like if you check the.
Oh, it's in the arm for some reason. Okay, for some reason I put it in the arm. All right. Okay, so let's skip. What I want to do is hold this pose for longer. And this is going to be a little faster. So 1, 2 frames. And actually, I wonder if this should be also faster. It's pretty fast already, actually. Okay, so now I wanna duplicate this keyframe. All right. Yeah, I want to duplicate with this button right here. And paste here. And that is gonna hold up for a little. And let's go back to animating again. I wanna. Oh, there's something wrong in there, but whatever. Okay, and now I'm just gonna advance the character slightly bit. Just gonna get a little bit of advancement.
I am checking at 30 minutes in.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do much. And this arm is gonna keep anticipating. So we have that kind of cushioning, right? And then the transition between this and this is gonna be pretty fast. And I want that change of geometry to be earlier. Oh, wait. Okay, not that early. One more frame. Boom. Okay. And let's do a little tweaking here. Okay. Okay. Okay, I want him to jump a little bit in the air. It's gonna make it more dramatic, hopefully. And oh, the eye disappeared. I guess I drew it in the wrong place. Okay,
Classic.
now I'm in the right place now, huh? I'm in the right spot now. Okay, let me do that eye again. Gonna get that. Okay, something like that. Gonna have a bit more fun with it. Gonna kind of. I don't know, something like that. Okay, and now I would like to do some breakdowns here. Just gonna remove that rough animation there. And I wonder where this problem is. Where is this guy? Okay, let me do breakdown. A little bit down. I wonder if this foot should be the same as in the previous frame. Gonna copy that. Just copy the tooth and then paste it here. Oh no, opposite. I wanna copy this one, paste it here. Okay. Down and up, down and up. Toot, toot. Okay. So this, maybe this hang time is a little too long. So I can just quickly change the timing here. The problem is the timing of this needs to change too. I wonder if he even needs a breakdown. I think I need to. Just gonna remove that. Let's make a one frame change. gonna be boom. Yeah, much more snappy. Okay, I think I would like to bake this part here for now. And then the rest of the stuff, I will do it with the character in FK legs. I think it's gonna be easier to animate that way. I'm thinking about this guy. I think this one should be a little bit more similar to this one. Boop, 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 boop. I just want a good transition here before we see the hit. Okay, let's bake that. What time we have?
You're 40 minutes in.
Yeah. So I'm gonna bake up to here. So this system is completely like I'm experimenting with this. I don't know if it's a good system or not. But the idea is to bake little parts and then build the actual animation in a separate layer, in the paint layer. Okay, so I just wait. No. Oh wait, I have to do another, right? If I want this to cycle, right?
Yeah, if you want, well, depends. If you haven't changed anything in the sequence, like if you haven't animated the sequence with transform keyframes, you can just loop the sequence and bake it.
Oh, it doesn't show
So-
me the. That's weird. It doesn't show me the.
What?
This thing. I want this to be the loop point, but I don't want to lose it. Oh, it's kind of losing that part, huh? For some reason. Maybe the loop point needs to be here instead.
That's strange.
I want this to be the last
Can
frame.
can you grab maybe select all children and wiggle that one keyframe to move it to the right and see if
This one?
yeah, grab all of them, all children. Yeah. Yeah, and then
Yeah, but it's
ignoring the last frame.
I want it to be faster. I want it to be one.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if it just like a weird
Copy, paste. Oh, interesting. Because I'm copying all of this stuff, and now it's supposed to repeat it. And frame 9, 8, 9. Frame 8 and 9 should be the same, huh?
Yeah, it should be.
All right.
This happens sometimes too.
Let's see what happens when I bake it. Oops. Oh, sorry.
Oh, not safe.
Oh yeah, save. Okay, here is where I want the loop point. All right, that's strange. Okay, let's bake it and see what happens with the bake. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. So the idea is that we're gonna have a cycle, and when the user presses the button, it will go into the jump. It will into the punch. So ideally, what we want to do is put this guy into a sequence, right? And the sequence has a stop, and then we jump into this animation, and then I'll continue what happens after with a different rig. So is this and the way I think this is a good system because you can always hold one frame if you need to, and it won't be repeated on the bake, because bake, what happens is it makes a new keyframe on every frame no matter what, no matter if you hold it or not, right? Goro?
Say that again. Sorry.
Oh yeah, when you do a bake of the transform key animation,
Yeah.
it will do a key a frame on every frame, no matter
Yeah.
what, no matter if
Yeah.
it's holding.
Yes.
So the way I think this could be a good system too, because I could just do those little clips and then press the hold if I need to hold a pose for longer, and then do a new clip after,
Yeah. It's the same technique that Yari showed us to, create a lot of empty frames in a short amount of time. So you can put an empty layer into a sequence, and then bake the sequence, and then you can do like a minute of, empty frames very quickly. So yeah, no matter what, it's going to bake. But like if you use spans, then spans are not respected, right? So in the bake.
Oh, the spine out, the out point is not respected on the bake, right?
Yeah, when you have spans at all, if you open close spans and stuff,
what does it
the
do
bake
then?
doesn't understand it. I think it just moves everything to frame one as if the spans don't exist. Just like when you have like, for example, like rain animation, you have like a bunch of drops that you want to offset, and you move everything, like move the span to the right, each layer, and then you bake it, then everything jumps back to frame one. That's why it's important, if you want to maintain the offset, to trim the layers versus offsetting them. I showed that in my particles tutorial. Yeah.
So the idea would be, following this workflow, would be to use the same rig, but now I'm just gonna get rid of these keyframes on the beginning.
Are you selecting all of those keyframes at once? Like
when you have this activated, allows you to select everything behind. I mean under this folder, which is really convenient. So you can really have
hierarchy select.
Yeah, you can have a lot of complicated folders, but you can select all of the keyframes at once with this. So now we're gonna get rid of this keyframe.
Like the dope sheet in Maya.
Pretty much. Oops. What did I do?
Edward Monogema is asking, do you have issues blending the multiple animations when using transforms?
That's a good question. I haven't done enough to answer.
So what I usually do, Edward, is I just make sure if I blend like transform key animation with frame by frame, I tend to just use stepped curves interpolation for transformation if I want to keep the same look. So that way you don't see a difference because stepped curve animation will follow the master frame rate. So basically, if you animate 24 frames per second and you animate your rig with stepped curves, then it just combines seamlessly with the transform keyframes, with the frame by frame keyframes. But yeah, otherwise you can just bake. But definitely when something moves very smoothly, and then you combine that with frame by frame, you might see it. But in general, I feel like it's a non-issue. For example, if you have a spaceship moving up and down with transform keyframes, and you have frame by frame animation on the characters, it usually looks good. Like even better than if you would bake the ship, because then it would look like that the ship is jittering because the frame rate is too low, unless you go like 60 frames per second or something. But yeah, you just have to be aware that one interpolates transform keyframes interpolate at headset frame rate versus frame by frame interpolates at timeline frame rate.
Okay.
Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, in this case, what I did in the cycle, and I'm gonna do it again, is bake and use the bake animation to kind of polish it and kind of add more flair to it. Let me do this very quickly first, and then I'll go to what I mean. This is gonna be this guy, right? Okay, and the foot is gonna be wait. So this is the foot, this is the shin. Okay, so now is FK legs, right? Perfect. So, okay. I'm gonna call this fall just to remember where it is. Yeah, so wait. Let me show you. So once we have this baked, it's all in different keyframes, and the wonderful thing is you can really use the onion skin now, because before, when you're doing the transform keys, the onion skinning doesn't work the same way. So now that I have the onion skinning, I can start to do fun stuff like a little bit of that, kind of. I already have a base on the animation. I have something already that I did with the transform. But now with this, it's just, I'm going to make this a little bit more organic and kind of more fun, and kind of adding extra joints where, for example, here, if I want to make the impression that the heel moves a little bit before the foot races, like I can make the heel here just with the grab tool, and I can just move this guy a little bit like that. So we have some extra polish in the animation there that we couldn't get with the transform keys. So I think this is a good system to try, because it can really allow you to kind of take your animation to to the next level. Just give it more polish.
Only what I also do in those cases when he punches, for example, when he gets fast, I just remove the entire arm and just exchange it with a bunch of speed lines. So that's the stuff you can't really do with transform keyframes, right? So
yeah, and actually in the scene that what I'm doing now, he's not really punching; he's preparing for.
yeah, he gets knocked out before he knows.
And then he will be. So now that I have it here and I have the onion skinning, I can really go into the spacing and say, okay, I want this to favor the previous drawing a little bit more. Those people that come from the 2D background, they will understand all this, like you want to favor things to the previous drawing a little bit, so it kind of, you get that nice spacing there, acceleration, deceleration, and here we got a little bit more of this. And thanks to the onion skinning, this just makes it so much easier, But I don't know, still work in progress. Still trying to figure out what's the best workflow to get something similar to like a really polished CG animation.
Daniel, can I ask you a quick question, please?
Yeah.
What I have it's very hard to tell what's roughly the size of your character you're working with. Like, what level of zoom are you? Are they like quite small in front of you, or quite?
My
You see
idea
what
is
I mean?
the audience is gonna look at this scene like this, more or less.
Okay. Okay.
Like this.
So it's for us, not for you working. You don't usually work like this small, or do you?
You mean if I get really close?
Yeah. What's your level? What's your comfort level of animating? Just curious.
Oh, I guess
Because for me, it looks like it's really small. Like when I do stuff, I tend to, it's more close to life size than tiny figures. You see what I mean?
Oh, I try to. Yeah, to me their size is kind of like an action figure, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quite small, like 30 centimeters or 40.
Yeah. I would say something pretty small.
Okay, I see.
But I think it really depends on what you animate.
I go closer if I need to. It depends on the detail that I want to get. If I really need to get some more detail.
Okay, but I find it hard to be precise when you're this size. That's why I ask. But when you you're used to it.
Well, I think what we see doesn't represent what what Daniel sees, right?
In VR it feels different, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, as an example, when I animated like my Spider-Man animation, sometimes I make him life size so I can get into the body and feel the stretch and stuff like that, right? So it really depends on what you're animating. If you're, for example, animating the inside of a mouth, it's much easier if you actually make yourself tiny,
of
right?
Course.
So I think that's the thing about the scale is very relative. So I can see that I can see here also that Daniel is zooming around. It just doesn't look like that to us, but I think the scale of the characters are constantly changing in Daniel's perception, right? Daniel, you just keep zooming, scaling, and zooming out. So
yeah, especially now because I'm going into these details now.
Yeah.
Before
so there's
I was moving very general before when I was doing the transform keys. I was moving things in a very general. When you do your blocking in CG, you just move the general controllers. You don't really care about the detail. But now, because I'm on frame by frame, so each frame is a different geometry now. Now I'm trying to polishing a little bit more the shapes and giving a little bit more fun shapes, and kind of make it look more like a traditional animation. So now I'm going more into detail and I'm kind of figuring out what can I do to make this look really much more organic,
Yeah.
So I think the scale really depends whatever you're comfortable. So now the tail, because it's already baked, I can just play with it much more, and I can just really animate that a little bit more traditionally. But because I have the main movers already done, it's easier to figure out what the secondary animation should do, right? So now I have the tail already following the body properly, so I just have to kind of use the onion skinning and kind of like do all the follow through, right? And because it's all baked, you will always go back to the undeformed version of the geo, right? If you know what I mean. Like, you always have the preservation, because the problem with animating frame by frame in Quill is that you get so crazy deforming with the grab tool, you can really destroy the geometry, right? So with this system, because I baked everything, I can always go back to the clean geo of that tail, for example, right? And I start from scratch, or kind of start make sure that the tail goes back to its normal shape when I need that to happen, right? I don't know. I thought, I think there's a possibility here with this workflow. Obviously, it takes time.
Yeah, but I feel like character animation, like once you get to this level, it always
In
takes
general,
time.
it always takes time.
Yeah.
I mean, if
I feel it's much faster than, manipulating curves. So because here you're just like manipulating the object directly.
it's definitely much more fun than animating a rig in Maya.
Yeah.
Because you're deforming it's almost like,
Yeah, you're close to the character, very close. You're at 1 hour, Daniel.
yeah, maybe I shouldn't do the maybe I shouldn't whip so much. Yeah, I don't like this change here on the tail, but that's okay. You do a mistake, and you always have the original geo here, and I can just go here and say, okay, I don't want the tail to change that much from now on, so I can just always keep it a little bit more steady, and then find a nice in between here. Or maybe instead of an in between, I'm just gonna keep using that geo and kind of have some residual motion there from the anticipation, and kind of work my way out from there, using the previous frame always as a base. That really helps a lot. Toot, toot, toot. Let's see how it flows. Obviously, we don't want to look at the tail all the time, so it shouldn't really move that much. So maybe this one needs to be an in-between. Toot, toot. And this is starting to look much nicer, much what I wanted, Yeah, from now on I can just start to polish and kind of go crazy with it.
You're 1 hour 6 minutes. Do you want to? Are you gonna show at least like the punch from the sloth?
Yeah.
Or would you reserve it for another class?
He doesn't even have time to finish his movement, so that's it. That's more or less what I got time to do today.
So no punch pose from the sloth?
No, he receives a punch, and then the next thing I should do is the falling. He falls on the ground.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, can you do a pose of the sloth punching him?
Oh no! The sloth is not gonna move.
Okay.
It's gonna be so fast that the human eye cannot catch the movement.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the idea of this scene is to actually give interaction to the audience. So I'm gonna have a button that says press to see the slow motion rewind.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's kind of a similar joke that I've seen somewhere in a movie or something. So when you see the slow motion, you will see actually what happened, and I'm gonna animate the sloth doing some badass martial arts and kicking his ass. That's the plan, but will I have time to finish it? I don't know. But anyway, yeah.
So we have a question here from Basim asking Daniel, for a beginner, what do you think about designing my character in a T-pose, then using stick figure to lay down the animation, and then I go frame by frame and my stick figure with the character parts?
Oh, you mean using a rig system?
I believe so. Basim, can you elaborate? Like, basically, is your question about designing a character in a T-pose and then animate frame by frame, or animate with a rig?
So I mean, frame by frame, I would draw the stick figure frame by frame to basically lay down the animation in detail, and then I could just go frame by frame and move the body parts to match the stick figure. Do you think that's
a good system too?
Yeah, so like, there's no one way of doing things. That's the beauty about this stuff. But it really depends on how much do you want to preserve. Like, the reason why I tend to animate first with transform keyframes is because it's a non-destructive workflow.
Yes,
because
exactly.
All the layers stay static, but you can still move it. So if you want to change the color of the character or redesign the head or something, you can do that at any time of the animation, and it's not going to be destructive. The moment you have frame by frame, you would have to apply the change in every frame. So for example, you say like, oh, I want the lizard's eye to be blue. Then you're kind of screwed, because then, the animation is already moving. So you would have to go into each frame, select the eye, and recolor. Versus when you animate with transform keyframes, you only have to do it in just a layer and everything is preserved. So that's why, I tend to animate with transform keyframes first and get as fast as I can with that. And sometimes I just leave it at that because it looks good. But if I want to add deformations like what Daniel has here, in that case, there's no way around frame by frame. But usually then the bake I do last when I know that I'm not going to change anything major on the character. So while you can definitely do what you said, doing the stick figure animation first and then wrap your character around it, is kind of similar to what Daniel did in here as well. But just be aware that if you want to do drastic changes to the character, then it's like really difficult. Also, if you have a complicated character like this and you go straight to frame by frame, you might have difficulty selecting body parts. That's another thing why transform keyframes with a rig system is favorable because you keep the body parts apart, so you don't have to think about selecting. Because, for example, if Daniel wants to now select the the neck or something, he might accidentally select part of the torso, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that does not happen when you have a transform keyframe rig.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to the two systems. So what I'm trying here is kind of use the best of each one and try to make, take advantage of both advantages, Both the transform is really good to do the blocking of my animation, as you saw how I did it, and kind of organize the timing, and also is a good way to keep non-destructive workflow. So even if I'm not happy with this, I can always go back to this folder and I have all the geometry clean, and I can start posing again if I need to, or reposing, right? But once I'm happy with the blocking, I can go bake it, and once it's baked, I can do all the stuff that I'm doing now. Here is really to the geometry level, where I can really deform, change things, add extra little secondary animations on these little things if I need to. Tweak the silhouette, have a nicer silhouette here. Maybe I can kind of flatten this thing. It looks better, like the line of action looks better now if I do this. All these things that is super hard to do with the transform keys, it's much easier to do with here, and it becomes much more similar to like a traditional animation workflow, right? So that's what I like about this, is like try to combine both. Maybe this the frame before he goes here, maybe I can just do like a like a.
So Alex M has a more complicated question, so I will try to simplify. Basically, the question is, if you have an IK-FK switch, so you have IK legs and FK switch, and you bake, he says that the bake causes problems because both legs show up. And the reason is because they're like nested in folders. So how I would approach that is to duplicate the whole rig, bake it twice, and you have to remove the IK folder in one, and then you remove the FK folder in the other one, and you bake them both separately, and then you either delete the frames and do the swap the moment the IK switch to FK, because the bake does not, just if you just hide a group, it will still bake with it. The bake works only, the hiding layers works only on layer level and not group levels. So if you have a folder, a sequence with just layers in it, you can simply hide layers that you don't want to bake. But the moment you have folders in it, it's going to bake it even if the folder is hidden, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the switch of this is what I was gonna do. Switching from this the foot inverse kinematic to the foot forward kinematic. So I have in this version of the character the foot is inverse kinematic, but in this version I reorganize the folders. I don't know if you saw before. So now the foot, the legs are forward. So what I would do now is animate what comes after this pose. So I have this pose here, and whatever comes after this, I'll animate it with this folder. So I can hide this and show this. So now I have the rig, and I can keep animating that, and now I'm. I already did the switch, so I don't have to worry about it, because I animate what comes after, and then I bake it. And once I bake it, I'll have another one of those. Imagine that I have this. So imagine, and then I'll put it after. I'll put it right there. That little clip with the, does it make sense?
I think that was exactly, yeah.
Yeah, what you said is exactly what you said. Anyway, that's all we have time for, I believe.
Cool. Yeah, it's 11:15.
Yeah, I can't wait to finish this and keep adding stuff and do all the way it falls on the ground. I'll try to update on show and tell once I have
Super cool, man.
once
Like, I
have
love it.
new animation.
The
Yeah,
characters look very nice too. Love it.
thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording right now and thank you for watching.
Thanks, Daniel.
Bye.